Hi guys, it's Kirsty. Welcome back to my Lightroom tutorial series, and today we'll be looking at the tone curve in Lightroom. Let's get started. Okay, today we're looking at the tone curve in Lightroom. I have this image that I took a couple of weeks ago of an abandoned castle just outside of Glasgow. So it's an okay picture. It was quite a dull day, a bit rainy, the sky is completely washed out, but we're just going to see what we can do here with the tone curve. Okay, and I'll just take you through some basic steps to improve any photograph. Okay, so we're in Lightroom, we're in Classic. I much prefer it to Cloud. It's just so much more functionality. So we're in the tone curve panel. You can see we've got the adjustments can be made to all colours, to the red tones, the green tones, or the blue tones independently. So we'll start with the combined channels. Okay. So down here we've got the blacks, and up here we've got the whites. So in any editing in Lightroom, you can turn on these clipping warnings. I guess they're calling them that. Highlight the clipping, and it's either for the highlight clipping or the shadow clipping, so the whites and the blacks. So it's any areas where it's pure white or pure black and you've lost all that detail. So turning this on this photograph, you can see that the sky is almost completely whitewashed. It's all washed out. So I'm going to use the tone curve to bring back some of that detail. So because it's just a sort of grey white sky, I'll keep it on the full colour. I can't remember the name of it. The full colour adjustments, okay, rather than going into the specific RGB ones. And because the highlights are up here, I'm going to start off here and pull this point down a little bit, and it's just making it a little bit grey, which is fine. You can make several points, as many as you like, on this line, and you can move things up and down. So when I moved this point, it was moving just those ones that were pure white. If I move this one, it's going to move everything that was black. So if I move it up the way, everything gets a bit grey, washed out. If I move it over here, everything sort of comes back with the contrast, and then you can see these blue areas, which are actually where the shadows are clipping, so it's getting pure black in those areas. It's losing all the detail. So I'm just bringing this over a bit to get rid of the clipping. And I keep these guides on just so it's a good visual indicator of when you've gone too far. Unless you want that kind of look, if you don't care about detail and sky, or if you're going to replace it, and you could be doing it on purpose to completely remove the sky and then replace it in Photoshop or another method. So I created a point here. So again, if it will move that up, it's going to be lighter. We'll move it down into the side a little bit. It's going to darken it up a bit. And that's fine. Down here, so I want some of these shadows to be a bit lighter, but we don't want to lose the detail. So you can either make it really sort of grungy and dark, or you can bring up the shadows and make it a bit more ethereal. I'm actually quite liking the sort of dark, grungy, textured look, so I'm bringing those down. The photograph isn't straight, but we're not looking at that right now. So I go to the red channel. So you've got a sort of red hue up here and a blue hue down there. Again, if we go to the black cursor, if you move this up, it's going to make it red. If you move it over here, it's going to give it a blue tinge. So depending on what look you're going for, what effect, you can move it in different ways. Again, with the highlights, if you wanted a kind of sunset effect or a bit of a dark sky effect. This is obviously very unnatural looking. If you do a bit of the red, just a little bit of a tint, and take that blue back a bit, you can really get something quite interesting. So I'm onto the green channel, so you can see we've got some green down here in the grass and all the weeds and things and the trees in the background. So we're going to see what we can do with those. I think I really want to make that pop, but I don't want to make it so green that the whole photo turns green, the whole building. So we do it that way. It's very purple. Again, it's just affecting everything. So maybe we want to go up here a bit. And we want to, let's see, I'm trying to make the building a bit more in line with the sky colour. Okay. And the highlights, quite liking that, a bit of the green. So it actually looks a bit more atmospheric. And the blue, I don't think we're really going to have much here. So you can make it quite sort of vintage look, sepia toned, or really, really blue. You can see we've moved this so far that it's completely clipped the whole of the sky. So I actually quite like sort of red, the yellowy tinge. You can see I change my mind throughout edits. I never have a plan at the start, but that's fine. You can always change things, you can always reset it, go back to the start. So it's just good to play about with these things. There's so many sliders and there's so much possibility. It's just good to have fun with it. So I move this black slider along. It just makes it all kind of one colour. So I like to have the highlights and the shadows be different, different tints. So I've got the yellow highlights and the blue shadows. Go back to the red a little bit. Actually, I want a little bit of red in here and just a little bit of green in there. Not too much. It's very, very powerful, I guess, the curve itself, because you only have to move it a tiny little bit in order for the effect to really make a difference. You can also put some defaults in here and you can create your own. So let's see, go to this one. You can see in this first one you actually have the areas. So you've got the shadows, the darks, the lights and the highlights. So go for the shadows. I'm going to move these up, and it's sort of very washed out. Well, not very washed out, it's a little bit washed out, a bit more of a sort of film effect. If you bring that down, it's quite stark. I actually like the kind of faded blacks, so I'm going to go to the darks and I'm going to bring them down, but also bring up the lights and then bring down the highlights a little bit. You can do this with the sliders as well, but it's nice to, actually I do quite like, put up the highlights, bring down the lights. Okay, this is what I'm going for. So you can see it makes such a difference depending on where you put the sliders. So the highlights are going up. I really like these areas sticking out, especially on the front sort of turrets here. So highlights are up, the lights are down, darks are down, but shadows are up. Let's see, I'll go back to compare the images. You can see it makes such a difference. Even just that quick piece of editing just in the tone curve. It makes so much difference. You can see this very washed out, generic. Anyone could have taken this, and if you put this on your social media, I think would be quite proud of it. So let me know what you think. Let me see your attempts and your edits using the tone curve, and let me know what else you would like to see. Thanks very much for watching.